I'm Ronald in a small blind with ace-5 of spades, and the action is five-handed. Villain is under the gun with pocket kings, and he opens to $6. The cutoff folds, and the button, who is a mega fish, he flat calls. I'm not worried about the button at all because he played every single hand so far, and he has no clue what he's doing. And his stack size is very short, so he's not a threat at all. I'm basically focused on the under the gun player, and I 3-bet him to $18 with ace-5 suited to establish a range advantage and potentially generate some fold equity. The reason I 3-bet his hand instead of calling is because it is actually the GTO approved hand for a 4-bet and even a 5-bet bluff. If you look at a GTO table, you can see that the ace-5 suited hand is supposed to re-raise here at a very high frequency. The opponent 4-bets me to $48 and the button flats again, and I decided 5-bet bluff to $120. The reason I do this is to balance my 5-bet range against a player who I know can open wide. You don't want your opponent to know that you have aces or kings every time you 5-bet them, because good players will just find an easy fold, and you will never get value with your good hands. Ace-5 suited is also the perfect bluffing candidate because it blocks a lot of your opponent's hand that can call a raise, such as ace-king and aces. The opponent flat calls my 5-bet, and the flop comes ace-queen, 4, 2 clubs, which is a pretty dynamic board, meaning that I can technically c-bet with a larger sizing as the pre-flop aggressor. But I chose to check in this case because my opponent's range actually consists of a lot of ace-kings, which I'm just behind on all three streets, and he would just call me down, and I will be value owning myself. So I think checking here allows me to observe my opponent's action and figure out his hand strength. Our opponent checks back, so at this point I'm pretty confident that he does not have ace-king. So I instantly started putting him on combos of pocket jacks and pocket kings because any pocket queens will be a set, and I just don't think he has aces there because he would probably 6-bet all in pre-flop. So at this point I know that I'm ahead, and my plan was to lead out for value at the turn. However, the turn comes a third club, completing the flush. And I think this is the key part that I wanted to go through in his hand, and I think this is where I potentially made a blunder. I checked again because I wanted to observe his sizing, but in hindsight, I think that leading out maybe a third pot will be a better move because it allows me to price in all his high pocket pair combos that I can get value from and allow him to raise with all his flushes. I should have realized that he has very little flushes in his range given his action line because ace-king of clubs, he would not check back the flop, and I don't think he's calling a 5-bet pre-flop with any other two clubs. So he checks back the turn again. Once again, I'm convinced that I'm ahead, and I was planning on a big river bet targeting all his kings and jacks. But it gets even worse because the river comes a fourth club, which is an absolutely disgusting run out for me. Now, any bet from me will be a bluff, and my sizing at this point would need to be an overbet all-in, which is over $400. I decided to check again, hoping to get to showdown with my top pair, and he does check back, but unfortunately I lose to a set of kings that he hit on the river, which is pretty bullshit if you ask me. Yes, the fish on the button did win his hand because he hit a flush with 2-9 of clubs, but that doesn't really matter to me because I'm more concerned about my heads-up action against the under-the-gun player. I think this is just one of those hands where the run-out just messes up your rhythm, so let me know if you guys think that I blundered or if you just got lucky.